What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down slightly, 0.37%, 23.74 the low, 24.43 the high. So you are seeing polar opposites, a lot of volatility today, and Jolt numbers just came out, so that's giving Lucid as well as the broader market a nice boost higher. Very low volume in Lucid's case, so 1.1 million shares being traded, 11.2 is the average. So when it comes down to data, we did have consumer confidence coming in a little bit lower than the forecast, so 94.2 versus 95. Jolt openings were better than anticipated. Quits were a little bit better than anticipated as well. So this is kind of the best case scenario. And because, as I've mentioned time and time again, this is something, the labor data is what Powell is really concerned over. And so you did have this automatically jump to now 92.5% for a 25 basis point cut for the upcoming October 29th meeting. But we do have a lot of big data that's coming out the rest of the week that's going to change the outlook of this. One thing that's also looming over the broader market is a potential shutdown tomorrow. So it's going to be quite the interesting day, and most likely after hours today, you will be seeing also some abnormal transactions both on the secondary market and also the dark pool, as institutions will be doing their final rebalancing. So today is the last day in Q3. So aside from all that, no official news from Lucid, no SEC filings. On social media, it looks like Lucid did participate in the Giga Africa 2025. So Faisal spoke. So pretty good stuff as far as that. I don't believe that there was any transcripts or any webcast or any video from this, which is rather unfortunate. But I really like what Lucid Motors Middle East is doing. So you can kind of tell just how the Middle East versus like Lucid itself is managed from a social media standpoint. Personally, I much rather Middle East. I think that like the American Lucid just focuses on random pictures, customer engagement, that type of stuff. Like Middle East is more oriented towards like actual investors, in my opinion. So it's kind of interesting. Even when it comes down to that, it's like they have different target audiences. But nonetheless, good stuff as far as this. It would be advantageous if they somehow film it going forward, but whatever, it is what it is. One thing that was posted, which is rather odd, is Peter. So technically Peter is still on their payroll as a consultant up until I think is kind of mid or beginning 2027, but he does show up. This is not new on a side note, because at the very beginning, this is episode number 4. So they do that drive unit, and this is something that I think that there was something mentioned in here that they shouldn't have. And so I've been covering Lucid for a very long time, as I've mentioned to you, and I remember there was this, it was posted for almost like 8 hours, and then they took it down. Luckily enough, back then, I actually did record a lot of this type of stuff. What they changed, I'm not really willing to go over like an hour just to find out like what they kind of removed, for instance. But nonetheless, they did repost it from what I can see. So they posted this 15 hours ago. Not really getting that many views, which is rather surprising. But hopefully they do actually take advantage of Peter being on their payroll and actually do more of these. So again, this is old because it is episode number 4. And going back over here, roughly 3 years ago, you had episode 3 with Eric. And then you did have episode 5. I think it was somewhere up here as well. So yeah, episode 5, it was done 2 years ago with Eric once again. So at the end of the day, this isn't new information, just rather odd that they are posting it now. Some people are speculating that this is for something or someone, I'm not really sure, possibly Atlas related. They just want to lay the foundation and educate investors on their current drive unit, and maybe before they unveil Atlas. I don't know. That's something that could be coming down the pipeline, but I do feel that this is something that they should actually pick back up. A lot of people, based on even the views that they were getting, a lot of people really liked to learn about Lucid's technology. And this is why back in September 2024, when Peter did host that Tech Day, that was a huge hit and even prompted a lot of new analyst ratings. So at the end of the day, hopefully Lucid does pick that up. As far as shorts, they are increasing 244,000 shares. 31.66% of the free float is being shorted, whereas it'd be 39.6 million shares overall being shorted. Looking at the options, 139,000 in calls, 41,000 in puts. So extremely low amount of money getting into options. 61% of all the options being done though are bearish in nature. And I analyze a lot of the larger transactions. I post it on my Patreon every single day, and there was a abnormally high amount of, like, the largest transactions that was done yesterday, all were bearish on indexes. And so there is a assumption that there's going to be a broad market pullback in the short term. So maybe that's why this is bearish and there's not much volume getting into Lucid, possibly. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of around that $24 to $25 range. Not much options activity, of course. Then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub, oddly enough, it looks like 23, but there is that outlier for it to be sub 21. I don't really think that there's any main reason for Lucid to be below that $21 range by this week. That's a little bit extreme if you ask me. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market, so somewhat evenly divided. So you have two buys right here, and then the rest is institutions selling. So this is why you're seeing kind of the all over the place today. And then these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So since shorts aren't really doing that much, institutions aren't really trading Lucid as much as they normally do, this is why you're not seeing that much in transactions. No new analyst ratings on a side note or anything like that. Right now with it at 23.93, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. So 23.42 is going to be a strong support. 24.63 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. And so as far as data, that was pretty much it for today. Next couple of days is going to be more big labor linked data points. So ADP employment, ISM manufacturing. So that one's going to be a big one. Although it was mentioned that if there is a shutdown, they are going to pause all of the actual data releases. So we might not be getting any potential data. So I guess we'll find out at midnight, I assume. I haven't really looked at when the time frame for that would be. But nonetheless, if there is a shutdown, just orient a lot of your maybe buys or dollar cost averaging towards 23.42 or potentially 21.45. Again, the bears are anticipating there was that outlier for it to be sub 21, so that is kind of extreme if you ask me. But aside from all of that fun stuff, looking right over here, you still see some pretty good optimism. So looking at the market position for today, you still see like Lucid has a good opportunity to really move higher. It's been somewhat struggling, hasn't really tested it, but it's kind of been looking like it's struggling to even near that 200-day moving average. Regardless, it is still above that 50-day moving average, which is generally a big deal for Lucid. Just the broader market is kind of torn, right? They're waiting for the next big catalyst, and there's somewhat a lot of fear going on right now. And like I said, no real articles coming out, so it's just a lot of people just kind of talking about the current technicals that I'm bringing up right now and what might be coming. But I think Lucid does need to really put something out, and it doesn't even have to be anything crazy. It could just be one of those new episodes. So just talk about the Gravity and why that is going to be a big game changer and why that's going to lay the foundation for a very successful mid-size. I feel like if they just put out a video like that, just obviously more techie, of course, but the market would love that. So let me know your general thoughts on that. So again, if you do see some levels of consolidation as well, just watch for that 100-day moving average sitting at 22.99. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? What's your general thoughts on Lucid? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to kind of check that out. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.